So our first year with Kyle, he did equal to harvest versus NPK. Skill that he put into production, which was amazing with one application of fish brew. So he applied it as a side dress. All right. So a side dress means that the planter plants a row of corn, and this machine comes along after it with a little like plow that opens up the soil, and he sprayed it in, and then it has a closer, so it closes back over. This is how they called side dressing nitrogen for different crops. So he used instead of doing it at planting, he had to come back, he had to plant, let the corn come up a little bit so he knew where his rows were, and then side dress it. So it's an extra step. So this spring we started talking about delivery methods, and perhaps he could deliver it in another method that he could do it at the time of planting, so that he didn't have to do a second trip into the fields. And remember, these are hundreds of acres, so that I'm making it sound easy, but it's not. It's days of labor and tons of diesel. So I turned him on to a trick that I used back east in hay farming, and that was sprays. We had a boom sprayer. It sprayed it. The tractor ran down the aisles and on the grass. It was no big deal. And he goes, "Yeah, Leighton, I don't think the spray method is the best. I think we need to get it into the soil." And I said, "Well, have you ever thought of just dragging drip tubes, from the boom, so that now it's not misting, it's not going into the atmosphere, it's just getting dribbled right on the soil?" And he's like, "No, but that's a great idea." So he and Robbie, his mechanic, spent a good couple months rebuilding and playing with this giant boom. I mean, we're not talking like 18 feet. I think it was like 60 feet or 40 feet. I mean,
yeah, I think the 40 is about the standard on one of those big sprayers. Yeah,
that's no joke. And so getting the delivery and distribution equal was a huge challenge. They were valving stuff and trying to keep the pressure equal so that everybody got the same amount, because otherwise you're going to get real heavy in one place and almost none in the other. So that was a couple-month challenge to get to that point. And they achieved it. Their tenacity there, the farm boys, they're not fucking around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they rock, man. They rock. They'll take whatever they got and figure it out. So they figured it out, and they went ahead and applied and planted. And then it was time to wait. And the initial indications were really good that this was going to be a very bountiful year. But then I had him do a soil test to just check the biologicals to make sure. And that's Andy. We got to get her on the show at some point too in the future. But the test came back pretty negative. We had, instead of the first year, we had 80,000+ beneficial protozoa per milliliter or per micro unit or what unigram of soil, which is a good number. This year we only had 8.
Ooh, that's low.
That's a big step in the wrong direction. And so I immediately got on the phone with Kyle. Like, all right, what's going on? What happened? And we went back and forth, trying to figure out what the reason was that we had this problem. And I think that what's up, Jeff? I think that it came down to a misunderstanding between me and him in the fact that I assumed that this was being applied on cover crops so that there would have been something living in the soil. Then we started down the rabbit hole of